Very good evening to everyone. And we are meeting at a time when things have gone, out of control, and second wave of COVID-19 has created havoc in the country there, right? Has caused havoc in the country. You all are aware that we have lost Zulfikar sir, right? Economics faculty of Vision IAS. He died because of the COVID-19. Now, Zulfikar sir, being a very experienced faculty of economics, was teaching this subject for a long time. He has taught with many coaching institutes, and over the few years, he was with Vision IAS, and he was covering the topic of Indian economy, right, in all the batches there. But then COVID-19, coronavirus, took away his life. It's very unfortunate that his death took place, and we were all very surprised and shocked there. This time situation has become such a way that this double mutant virus, right, and it is also said now is that the third wave will also come, right, where now the children are getting infected. First the vulnerable groups were the old age people, then younger age, and now it is coming to young children also there. So I will humbly request all of you to take care of your health, right? Jaan hai to jahan hai. So please take care of your health. Please be indoor, right? And those of you, I think all of you who are preparing for UPSC exam are above or maybe 18 years, right? So please do get vaccine. Right now government has started with the vaccination program. 18 years and above can get vaccines from the government through the COVID app. So please get vaccinated, right? And please prepare for your examination, being at your home, wherever you are, stay there and prepare for the examination. You have entire 1 year to prepare it, since you all are targeting for 2022, 2023 and 2024. I know that in your batch there are students who are still in the colleges, but you have started preparation of UPSC exam right now. So all of you, right, since you are going to appear in future UPSC exams, so please, you have time with you, prepare for the exam in a better way. Particularly the theory part of it, conceptual understanding, the concept, syllabus, theory part, you do it thoroughly, properly, so that the last time you don't have to open any standard textbook for the theory part of it, for the syllabus part of it. You will focus more on the test series, questions, current affairs. You will give more importance to that, right? Now Vision IAS is all to help you out, right? Vision IAS is providing you all support, all mentorship, right? All kind of help is being provided through Vision IAS. We as the teachers are also there to support you, your doubts, your queries in whatever possible ways. We are working on that, right? So please be patient, right? Whatever guidance are given by different faculties, you try to follow that. All right. So I will now come to the topic where we left last class. Today is the fourth class of environment subject, right? Today is the fourth class of environment subject, and we have already covered till ecosystem productivity and biotic interactions. The very first class when I started environment subject, I had already given you overview of the syllabus and the nature of the questions and how to go about it. I have also shared with you the handouts. I have given you handout from the Vision IAS study material, which is being prepared by the content team. I have shared with you in the very first class. And I have been, whatever I am teaching on the whiteboard, I am also connecting with the same handout which has been given to you all. See, again remember that different teachers have got different methods of teaching. There are teachers who may just simply sit down and dictate class notes. You dictate the class notes, you are writing the class notes, right? There are teachers who try to explain you the concept and theory part and all the points right on the board, which also becomes a ready revision kind of a point-wise comprehensive class notes, right? Which I am doing, which I am following as a method that I am writing on the board, you are copying that in your note copy, and that note copy, whatever points I am explaining in the classroom and the whiteboard, you can always keep on revision that. Before the prelims exam, you can revise that. Plus, I am also giving you more information with the help of handout, right? Now, today's class, we are going to cover 3 important topics, which I mentioned in the last class. First topic is ecological succession. Second will be biogeochemical cycle. And third will be ecosystem services. So let me write down the topics here. The topics which we are going to cover in the classroom. That is the first, we will start with ecological succession. Then we will go into biogeochemical cycle or nutrient cycle. And then last will be here, why ecosystem is important for human beings and the planet. So we will be covering the ecosystem services. Services offered by ecosystem, right? So these are the topics which we are now going to cover in the classroom, which I have written on the whiteboard. These are topics which we will be covering in the classroom one by one. We will be going to such topics there, right? We will be covering all those topics there. Alright, these are all topics we are going to cover in the classroom there. Right? So, I have given you the topics in advance so that you are read about it, you are prepared with it. Right? So, we will go through it one by one. Let me see how many people have joined the class. And again, I will use whiteboard, which you can copy in your class notes. Plus, in between will be there, I will use the handout and under mark there also there, right? So we'll have a combination of everything there. Alright. I hope you all are comfortable and we will follow the topics one by one. Alright. So let us begin with the topic. The first topic is ecological succession. Right. We are starting with the ecological succession. Let me first give all the points on the whiteboard and then you will be able to understand it. Ecological succession is a very fundamental concept in ecology. Now, ecological succession here is a very simple word. See, succession, one after another. So let's understand here. I'll first give you an example here. Let's say you have a barren land, right? You have a barren land which has rock, right? Rocks and all. And then because of the weathering, right? Because of the weathering event, right, after some time, soil is formed. Right, soil formed. Now, what we find when the soil is formed, some type of species which occupy there. There's a lichen and moss. Lichen is a symbiotic. Right, last class we have discussed biotic interaction. Symbiotic form of cyanobacteria, blue-green algae and fungi that form the lichen or lichen. Moss is a primitive type of plants which occupy this particular soil there. Once the soil is formed after chemical, mechanical, thermal, all the weathering event in a barren land. This is the barren land here. Devoid of vegetation, no vegetation, nothing is there. Then what happens as the time progresses, we find that the bird which drop the seeds germinate there, right? Wind which will bring some kind of seeds and spores and that will germinate. So we find that small plants grows up there, like let's say the grasses comes into that, right? As the time progress, we find that small type of herb, right, herbs and shrubs, medium height plants and all, they come into that. As the time progress, what we find is that as the time goes there, after long time, we find that the same area where there was no vegetation, we find that tall trees and plants, after 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, a forest comes up there. It results into the formation of a forest, right? Now this is what event I have explained. It is the same place, the place is the same, that barren land, the place is the same, but same place after number of years changes take place, and the land which was a barren land has converted into a thriving, matured ecosystem. It has become a forest land. Now this is called as succession, right? This is called as a succession. Now I'll give you more example here. This is the first example what I mentioned in terms of succession. Now let's look at another example. Just take another example here. For example, those areas where the volcanoes are there, and because of the eruption of volcano, the lava flow, what will happen after eruption there? The lava will solidify, right? Cooling of the lava and will get solidified. And then as the time progress, this convert into soil. And again, as we find that with gradual passage of time, the other plants comes up, right? And then finally we find again it converts into a forest land. Where there was lava, it has become a forest land. It is converted into forest. Now this is also example of succession. Sometimes the succession can take place, let's say on the mountain, let's say mountain there. Let's say on the mountain, you have glacier, right? What is glacier? Glacier is the moving mass of ice. You have a glacier there. Now what happens with time? Glacier retreats, right? There is a retreating of glacier. The glacier melts and retreating of glacier here, and when the glacier retreat, it leaves behind here deposit of some kind of a sediment or mass called moraine. M-O-R-I-N-E. What is moraine? Moraine is basically glacial deposits. Moraine is basically glacial deposit. And then what we find, as the time progress, same point on the mountain where there was no trees and plants, we find that the trees and plants comes up. A forest comes up on the slope. Now this is also succession. This is also a kind of example of succession. Now fourth one, let's understand fourth example. Now by providing you all such examples, by giving you all such examples, I am just trying to make you understand that when UPSC will ask question, there can be several examples can be asked. It's not a one single example, it can be many examples where there's a gradual change happens. Change happens and the vegetation comes up. After long time, the forest comes up. Now succession can take place not only on the land, like barren land or let's say volcanic area, or let's say desert, sand dunes and all, or let's say mountain glacier. It can happen in the aquatic body also there. So it can take place, let's say initially you have a pond, right? A water body, let's say pond. Now what happens initially in this kind of pond, what you will find is that because of the siltation, the deposit of siltation, right? When the siltation deposits here, you have submerged type of plant. What type of plant? Submerged, which is submerged because of the soil here. You have a submerged plants. Submerged vegetations are there, right? Which are submerged. Submerged vegetations or plants are there. Aquatic plants are which are submerged to it, right? Then after some time, as there's more and more deposition, right? When there is more and more siltation and the deposition takes place, there's more deposition takes place, siltation happens there. So now the same area, not only the submerged plants, right? Not only submerged plants, but we'll also have floating plants. It results into floating plants. Now as the time progress, what happens is more and more deposition happens there and it becomes like a swampy land. It becomes like a swamp with some kind of plants and all. It becomes swamp. And as the time goes, 100 years and 200 years, same area where used to be pond and all, it has now become a forest land. It is converted into a forest. Where there was a water body, a aquatic ecosystem, after hundreds and 200 years, it is converted into forest land. Now this is also succession. This also is an example of succession. See, always in the classroom, I am trying to make you understand the concept. If you go the first class, you just review class videos of the first class, second class, third class. I have been first making you to try to understand the concept. You are able to understand it. Then comes the points. So what is ecological succession? Where you have gradual changes in the structure and composition of biotic communities over an interval of time, where the plants and animals undergo change. This is studied under ecology as succession, right? So I'm just slowly with examples, one by one I am building up the concept. So what you can do, I'll give you time. I'm not in a hurry, right? I'll just go slowly. First you copy it. Whatever I write on the whiteboard and I'm trying to make you understand, you copy it. Once you have copied it, then I'll move to the next level. So please copy the 4 examples of succession what I've drawn on the whiteboard. Then I'll take your doubts and then I'll go to the next level. So I'll go in a slowly manner. No need to hurry and no need to worry about it. Alright? So let us copy this one. Any doubt you have, please ask me. And please copy all these examples. I will go in a manner that you all are able to understand and you are all able to write it down, right? So that your understanding becomes more better. And once you copy it, please write it down. Please write in your live chat so that I'm able to understand that you have copied it, so that we can move on. Because now, see, because of COVID-19, situation is like that you have to go through the live class and online class. Now online class, what happens is that I can keep on teaching, but I may not be aware what is your difficulty level, whether you are able to understand, whether you are able to put down the points and all. So my task is that as a teacher to make you comfortable, so that you are comfortable and you are able to understand each and every aspect. Okay, what I'll do here, I will take you a question here. Let's look at a question here. I'm taking one question for revision here. Let's say, for example, in UPSC exam, in the prelims exam, you get a question of this type. Which of following statements about ecological succession are correct? And I'm giving you the options here, like number 1, ecological succession results into new types of vegetation on a site. Number 2, ecological succession is only a natural process initiated by natural events such as volcanic eruption, weathering, etc. And third statement, ecological succession is always a slow process resulting into formation of a forest ecosystem, right? Let's say this is the question. Which of following statements about ecological succession are correct? Number 1, ecological succession results into new types of vegetation on a site. Ecological succession is only a natural process initiated by natural events such as volcanic eruption, weathering, etc. Ecological succession is always a slow process resulting into formation of a forest ecosystem. And now you have to identify that which of these statements are correct. 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, and let's say 1, 2 and 3. What will be answer here? कौन बनेगा सिविल सर्वेंट? KBC, right? Let me call this as a KBC. कौन बनेगा सिविल सर्वेंट? So what will be answer here? Let me see your answer. What shall be the answer here? Let's say you get this kind of question in the exam. Yes, your response. What shall be the answer here? Let's say this question comes in the prelims exam. Suppose that this question comes in the prelims exam. What answer you will take that? I'll be using such kind of questions during the discussion in the classroom there. Yeah, what is the answer here? Acha. Shivam Rathod, 1-1, Utkarsh. I know that I will be getting mixed response here. Sai is giving the answer A. Kunal is giving the answer B. Parul Kumar has given D as an answer. Payal Rajput has given D as an answer. Raj Bala has given C as an answer. Anumala A as an answer. Vishwanath C as an answer. Kanika has given D as an answer. Shivam Rathod 1 as an answer. Okay, Sumit God is saying C को lock किया जाए. Okay. Okay. Good, very good. That's really good. I want your interaction in the classroom. If you interact in the classroom, that will be really good because you will be able to solve your doubts also, and your classmate will also be able to see their doubts cleared with your participation. So I want all of you to participate in this kind of Kaun Banega Civil Servant KBC there. Okay. Now my question here. See, ecological section results into new types of vegetation on a site. Right, new types of vegetation. That is correct. This is correct. What you are saying is that, let me change the color of the, so what you are saying, this one is correct. One is 100% correct. Now the thing is that ecological succession is only a natural process. Only a natural process. This is wrong. Only a natural process is wrong. Even it can be anthropogenic. It can be initiated, we'll see right now in the classroom there, by humans also there, anthropogenic factor. Let's say forest fire. For example, forest fire. Fire in the forest. Clearing forest, deforestation. That can be also there. Now, third statement, ecological success is always a slow process. Always a slow process. This is also wrong. Slow process is all right, but it can also be fast. It can also be fast also there. Let's say, for example, for playing football. For playing football, let's say you clear the ground and make a football ground, and you play the game of football, and then you leave it. Then after just within a month, grasses will come up. You'll find that the grass will come up. So here the answer of this question, right? What I've given here, the answer is A1 only. The answer of the question is A1 only. Answer is A1 only. It is very, very important that in the examination you have to catch keywords. Keyword become very, very important. If you don't follow the keyword, it will become very difficult for you to get the correct answer. Now the new pattern of the exam. In the new pattern of the exam, it has become very, very important to see the keywords. Right? In the new pattern of examination, it has become very, very important to look into the keywords. Keyword becomes very, very important because sometimes the only, always, right, never, all these kind of words, right, now they are being used to trick you. So to see that whether you are very confident and you are clear with the concept part, right? That's what I have said this question, and I will be giving you such kind of questions in between the topics so that you are able to understand the concept very well. You are able to understand the topic very well, right? So that's what you have to always be aware of that. Now what I'll do here is that let's look into, I'm now coming here. Let me get back to the whiteboard here, right? Let me now come back to the whiteboard here. See all this process which I have discussed on the whiteboard here with all these examples. I'll give you the class notes, the point wise notes I'll give you there. But first I'm trying to make you understand. The questions in the UPSC exam are being written in such a way, they're not difficult. They're not at all difficult. It's all the matter of the language. If you're clear with the concept and the facts and you're able to link with the particular the sentences, only, always, right? This gives you a kind of a understanding and edge to see the question answer there. Even the elimination also, odd one out. If you know that okay, statement 1 is correct, then which will go with statement number 1? You are able to eliminate it. Even if you don't have 100% knowledge, you don't have 100% understanding, but even elimination can also help. But let's understand here. All what I've drawn here, the diagram, all these examples what I mentioned, they happens over a time interval of 100 years, 200 years. That means all this where the forest is formed, all this process, the forest is formed, this all takes over a long period of time. But let's say for example, there is a forest fire. Suppose that there's already vegetation, there's already a forest, and then because of natural or human beings, human activities, there is a fire in the forest. Right? There's fire in the forest and the forest get disturbed. And then we find that next year, after 1 year or 2 years, 3 years, again the plants and trees will come up. There is regeneration of forest. So here when the forest, existing forest get disturbed, right? Existing forest get disturbed, and then we find that in a short interval of time, again the trees and plants come up. So that is not a slow, that is the first process. Now let's look at here. I'm now adding on the same examples certain terms. Species which come for the first time, those species which occupy the site, the soil, when the soil is formed and it comes for the first time, they are called pioneer species. What are they called as? Pioneer species. What I want to make you understand is that there's some type of technical words are there. There's certain type of technical words with a concept. If you know that technical word, you will be able to solve the question. So what happens here? This is the lichens and moss. Right? They are called pioneer. They are the first to occupy. So there will be pioneer species. There will be pioneer community. I am using the word community. What is a community here means? Group of species. Like lichens and moss. And at the end where the forest is formed, this is called as a climax community. At the end where the forest is formed, it is called as a climax community. It is given the name climax community. So what you find is that ecological succession starts with pioneer species and then get stabilized with the climax community. And what comes before climax? What comes before climax? They are called cirri. All these are cirri. And you can say seral. They will be called as a seral community. Intermediate stage are called seral community. They are referred to, these all species are called cirri. This word is called cirri. Cirri is what? What precedes, what comes before the climax. They are called cirri. And all those communities, species which are there, they are called seral community. What is very important here? That ecological succession starts from pioneer, it goes to the seral, and then get stabilized with the climax. Same happened with example number 2 also, example number 3 also, example number 4 also. Land and water both. Now let's say, for example, there is a forest fire, right? All these examples what I mentioned here, these all are examples. They are the examples of primary succession. This is called primary succession. What I have taken the example here, this example, let's understand here, this example what I've written here, all these four examples are called primary succession. This is called as a primary succession. Primary succession happens to the area where first time, right, where the first time vegetation is formed, where it happens for the first time. Barren land, volcanic area where there is no vegetation, it gets colonized with vegetation over a period of time. That is called primary. Primary here means the first time. But let's say, for example, there is a forest fire. There is a forest fire, right? Maybe natural cause, global warming, you know that, California forest fire, right? Australian bush fire because of global warming impact, or it may be sometime human induced, let's say for forest fire, or let's say for example deforestation, mining and deforestation and all this, right? You know that in Northeast India, the local tribe, they follow a type of cultivation called jhum cultivation, Jhum, jhum cultivation. What is jhum cultivation? Slash and burn cultivation. What is called that? Slash and burn cultivation. It is also called as shifting cultivation. What the community does, they clear the land, they carry out agriculture, they go to the next part, they again burn the land, clear the land, do the cultivation, again they move on. Like in Arunachal Pradesh in Northeast India and Assam and those areas, the jhum cultivation is there. And they keep on doing it over the forest land. And when they come back to the first site, by that time plants will come up. So that is called secondary succession. That is called as a secondary succession, where already soil was there, where already vegetation was there, but because of natural cause or anthropogenic cause, there is a loss, disturbance, and again the forest comes back, again the vegetation come back. It is happening for the second time, what is called as a secondary succession. So let's say forest fire, deforestation, all is jhum cultivation, and again what happens here is that again this results, right, the soil and all this again results into this kind of process here. Lichens, moss again comes up and the plants comes up. So this is called as a secondary succession. This is called as a secondary succession. All these examples what I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, they are primary succession, where there is no vegetation, but the vegetation is formed. But let's say already forest is there, vegetation is there, and that get disturbed because of the human based factors, anthropogenic reasons or natural cause. And again it repeats. Again the grasses, herbs and shrubs, medium height trees, and the forest is formed. Now this method is called as the secondary succession. Right? So I am slowly and slowly introducing some technical terms for all of you to understand. Alright. So now let's see here that this question what I gave, that it can also happen in a short time of interval. Secondary succession is faster than primary succession. And again is not only natural cause, even human being can also induce changes. That's what that question I gave you in the classroom to solve, that what exactly correct statement will be there. Now let's see here, I'll give you another question. Let me write another question to make you understand there. Let's say you get a question in the exam. Now you get a following this question here. I am now coming to another question here. Let's look at another question here. Now my second question here is a very simple question I am asking. Which of following are examples of primary succession? Sometimes the question can be this type, direct, can be asked in the exam. Multiple choice question there. Let's say I am giving here first volcanic eruption, second shifting sand dunes, retreating glaciers, bushfire, zooming, right? And I am giving the option here. Very simple question I have given here. It's a very simple question I have given here. So what will be answer here? A very simple question. Now you can easily solve this question. What will be answer here? Sometimes, in the exam hall, it may have the question which are very close by. There can be question which are very close by. So all of you are giving me answer A as an answer. All right. You all are giving me A as an answer. All right. Why not C as an answer? Why not C as an answer? Okay, there are certain doubts are there. Two doubts have come to me. One is that does a conversion of forest into barren land is also succession there? No, succession happens from barren land to the forest land. But if the forest land get disturbed and again the trees and plants come up and again the forest is regenerated, then we call it succession. Another question is by Kunal. Kunal has asked the question, ecological succession, does it always lead to forest? No. It's not necessarily that always leads to forest. That question I have given you in the classroom, that second statement, that it leads to forest, that is wrong there. It may be simple grassland also there. Matured ecosystem, what is very important? A matured ecosystem. Did you get, Kunal, your answer? And Abhishek, that conversion of forest into barren land is also, that can be event which will again restart the process succession and again vegetation will come back. And your Kunal question, ecological succession, does it always lead to forest? It's not necessary there. Always a forest there. Alright? Yes, your answer. Whether the question will be A or C. Now I am asking that A and C part of it. Abhinav Singh Rathore has given C as an answer. Okay. So the answer is here, this one. The correct answer of this question, you all are correct. You all are correct here. What you have given the answer? Answer is A. What is correct answer? Answer is A. This question has the answer A as an answer. Bushfire can be natural calamity also, and bushfire can be caused by humans also. Bushfire can be both. Can be both natural and anthropogenic. Where jhum cultivation, that is a anthropogenic. So bushfire can be both primary and secondary. It can be both. This can be both primary and secondary. Right? Whereas jhuming is only secondary. Jhuming is only secondary succession. And all this one, 1 and 2 and 3, all this 1, 2 and 3 are primary succession. Clear here? So you have to take purely primary succession. Right? Any doubt here? Anything you want to ask? Jhuming means cultivation. That is a shifting cultivation. What is jhuming? Jhum cultivation, that is a shifting cultivation, or it is also called slash and burn cultivation. Slash and burn cultivation. There is human based changes there. Any doubt you have? I have already solved 2 of the doubts which was there. If you don't have any doubt, then I'll go to the main part of that. All right. So let's bushfire can be primary because of global warming, like Australian bushfire. Bushfire is both. Let me take you to that part. You will be able to understand here. There was bushfire there in Australia, right? I'll take you to the part of it. You will be able to see this one. This is Australian bushfire, right? This was a natural one because of global warming. Because of global warming and all, the WWF website I have taken there, and the large tract of the forest was got affected because of this devastating fire which took place in 2019-20, right? And it was because of the natural cause, because of very, very high heat, and it just raised the forest there. Koalas and kangaroos and all, they will all get affected because of this particular bushfire there, right? So this was the which happened there, right? So bushfire, this is the which happened in 2019-20, and you can see a recovering, restoring Australia after the devastating bushfire there. Now the same land will again regenerate back to forest land if you leave it for 5 to 10 years. Again the trees and plants will come up. But at the same time, bushfire in Africa and all, they do the bushfire also there, when local tribes can also burn it there, right? Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear to everybody? Okay, there's Anju and Smriti has asked the question that how bushfire can be both primary. Primary because of the global warming. Global warming, climate change, there it becomes a primary there, right? But again, the human beings can also result into the fire in the forest, and part of it can also happen there, right? It can also result into the part of like in Africa. In Africa, there bush hunting is there. In Africa, right, there's a bush hunting also happens there, right, where the local tribes they burn the part of the forest and then cause the part of it there. It can be both. That's what I'm saying, that it can be human based also there. It can be part of the human being also, base can be the part of it. Let's say for example here, bushfire, if you do the Google search, you'll find that it can be secondary also there. And you can see here, I'm just taking you to the, if you do the Google search, you will find this one. So this is what after the study has been found there. Study shows 84% of wildfires caused by humans. Right? Various causes and effects of wildfires. There are a lot of scientific studies are there, and you can see a study shows 84% of wildfires caused by humans. Right? And again the Australian bushfire also there. What are underlying causes of Australians? If you take here, if you go to this particular site here, the Guardian, the global warming, climate change has been one of the factors there, right? And because of the heat, like extreme heat and all, and result into that natural weather pattern, which has also resulted in high heat temperature and caused a part of it, right? But at the same time, you can see also there can be here wildfires or bushfires caused by human beings. That is also what the study says, that study shows 84% of wildfires caused by humans. Debris burning, see here, burning of debris, arson, campfires have combined with climate change to make the fire season much longer. And this is a Smithsonian study is there. In US, they've done the study and given there. That's what bushfire can be both. Bushfire can be both the part of the primary and secondary. Is it clear here? It can be both primary and secondary. And again remember that where human induced changes are there, it will go to the secondary. It will happen the secondary part of it. Clear? Yes, for primary succession you need barren land or those land which are not occupied by any kind of vegetation. That's where it comes into that. Now I am coming to the points there. It will all become more clear to you, right? Always remember that. Always remember that when it happens to a particular location which has earlier no vegetation, there was no vegetation earlier, right? Always remember that. Primary succession is the succession process which happens for the first time. A particular site which is unoccupied, not colonized with any type of vegetation. Forest fire, bush fire, this can be both natural cause, like for example global warming, climate change and all can be there, right? So that can be the result into that. So that's what to say, it is when there is a fire there, like say forest fire or wildfire, again what will happen there? again that the forest which get burnt off, again the slowly the soil which get the land will again have a new type of plants coming up, and again with due course of time the forest will come back. That will become secondary succession. That will be called as a secondary succession. Jhuming, jhum cultivation, where shifting cultivation, again a secondary succession. Right? That's what the question I gave. 1, 2, 3, barren land, radiating glaciers, lava flow. These are the examples of primary succession. These are the examples of primary succession. I hope it is clear to everyone. So now what I'll do here, let us now come into the other points which I would like to add here and explain there. So now I'm coming to the points there. Now your understanding part is there with these questions what I've just given you as a kind of practice there. Now let me write the points here one by one, and you can copy that. Now what you have to do in your note copy, now you write there on the whiteboard whatever I'm writing, you just copy it down. So now the point here is that now I'm giving you class notes, whatever the things are there. I'm now coming to the class notes point of view. So what is the first point here is that ecological succession refers to, right, I'm reading out also there, whatever points I'm writing, I'm reading out also. Please write it down in your class notes here. It refers to gradual, it refers to directional changes in structure. How it is defined? Directional changes in structure and composition. We can predict the changes. We can also do the prediction of changes there. So directional change in structure and composition of biotic communities, of living communities, of biotic communities on a geographic area, on a site, over an interval of time. This is how it is called as a succession process. This is what we call as a succession there. Right? Now next what I am coming here. I have said in the classroom that the succession process begins with a pioneer community. Right? So it begins with, number 2 is that it begins with pioneer community. That is here lichens and moss as example. So pioneer community followed by seral, right, followed by seral community which comes intermediate or before climax, right, seral community, and stabilize. This gets stabilized with the climax community. It is stabilized with the climax community. Right, this is the second point. Now I have said in the classroom that there are 2 types of ecological succession is there. 2 types of succession, and I'll give you the difference there. There are 2 types of ecological succession. Right? There are 2 types of ecological succession. So now let's look at here. So I'll make in a tabular form. What I'll do here, I'll just give the point in a tabular form here. Primary and secondary. Right? So here primary succession, and secondary succession. So primary succession and secondary succession. I am giving a tabular form there, right? Now right here, first one. What happens in primary succession? It happens over a site, occurs on a site not previously or earlier, not previously colonized with vegetation. For example, barren land. Not earlier colonized with vegetation. There was earlier no vegetation was there. That is the primary. Now second, what comes here? Secondary succession. It occurs on a site, right, already colonized, right, already colonized. There was already present of vegetation. already colonized with vegetation, which get disturbed, which are disturbed or which get disturbed by natural or anthropogenic causes. Such as, let's say, wildfire. Right? That's the first difference. Now here, second difference. Soil formation. Like here, what will happen? Soil will be formed. Soil is formed for the first time. For the first time, there is a soil formation in the primary succession. What happens in secondary succession? Soil is already present. Soil is already present. Soil is already present. And what is the third difference here? The third difference comes here is that in primary succession, it takes long time. It takes a long time because soil has to be formed. Soil formation itself takes long time. But what happens in secondary succession? Soil is already present there. So that's what the plants can come up fast earlier. So it takes a long time. Sometimes there will be hundreds of years. Today, whatever changes what we see on the earth is because of the primary succession. Now what happens in this case? Secondary succession, it takes place faster, faster than primary succession. It takes place faster than primary succession. That is within few years vegetation comes up. Within few years again vegetation comes up. Clear here? I am giving you the class notes. This is your class notes. Please write that. Right? I hope that you all are able to see the whiteboard, and please copy whatever I am writing on the board. There is a point wise I am giving you comprehensive class notes for your revision part. Questions I am giving you to get more understanding part of it. Alright, please copy this. And once you are copied, then please let me know that you have copied there. In bushfire, soil is already present. Anumula Nagasai, you are correct. Kindly copy this one and let me know if you have copied it, so that I can go to the next part. Have you all copied it? Okay, if you have copied it, then well and good. Now watch this one. To give you more clarity, I'm taking you to one documentary.
The world is constantly changing. New islands are being created. Fires burn in forests. Volcanoes explode and destroy areas. Nothing remains the same, and habitats are constantly changing. Ecological succession is a process by which an ecological community undergoes changes following a disturbance or the initial colonization of a new habitat. For example, the islands of Hawaii were formed from volcanic activity. From their fiery start, over time they became tropical islands. There are two main types of succession, primary and secondary. Primary succession occurs in new areas that have little or no soil. In other words, the area has been almost completely destroyed or is newly formed. For example, new islands can be created from lava flows. The lava creates a new land without soil. A volcano may destroy a very large area. This would be an example of primary succession. Over time, dirt is formed, plants begin to grow, and a forest or a grassland may return. The first species that colonized this new land is called the pioneer species. Lichen and moss are many times pioneer species. Secondary succession occurs when an existing ecosystem has been destroyed or disturbed. They are more minor in magnitude compared to a primary succession. For example, a forest fire may destroy a large area of trees and plants, or flooding can destroy an area. In this before and after picture, the fire destroys plants, but the soil remains. 2 years later, the forest has grown back. Here is how secondary succession may occur. Fire destroys plant growth. The fire leaves behind empty but not destroyed soil. Grasses and other plants grow back first. Small bushes and trees begin to colonize the area. Next, fast-growing evergreen trees develop to their fullest, while shade-tolerant trees develop underneath. Eventually, larger deciduous trees will grow over them, and the ecosystem is similar but different from where it began. These disturbances can actually be healthy for an area over time because they can lead to increased biodiversity. Controlled burns are practiced by many park services. The fires help manage weeds and other growth and helps to reduce the risk of wildfires, but it can also help destroy nutrients and lead to more desirable plant growth in the future. If you'd like to know more about succession, this playlist will help. And as always, thanks for watching, and Moo Moo Math uploads a new math or science video every day. Please subscribe and share.
Alright, so have you all copied this one? From the video it is clear that you got to understand what is primary, what is secondary there. Have you all copied it? Please, all guys who are there in the classroom, please copy that, right? Instead of dictating the class notes, I am giving you all explanation, and point wise I am writing on the whiteboard. You shall not ask me that, sir, please give me dictation of the notes, right? Because I know that there are students in the classroom who will demand that, okay, sir, dictation kara dijiye. Those days of dictation has gone. Whatever I am teaching, I am also writing the points there. If I am not using the whiteboard to write points, I could have dictated you. Alright, so now let's see here. Now if this part here, see here. So what I've said here, primary volcanic eruption and shifting sand dunes and all these are primary there, right? Now bushfires can be caused by both natural and anthropogenic. So that is a secondary. So see here, I have written the primary there, that is a, this will be only secondary. I'm making the change also there. Right? Here, bushfire can be caused because of natural and anthropogenic causes. The cause of the succession can be natural factors or anthropogenic, right? But here, this one and this one, right? Here, bushfire, it can be caused by natural and anthropogenic, but again, soil is already present there. So that will be a secondary kind of succession there. right? Zooming cultivation is basically man-made or anthropogenic. The secondary part comes into that. Bushfire can be caused because of human beings also, at the same time natural global warming there. Zooming cultivation is totally anthropogenic. Clear here now? Confusion is clear here? So the answer is A. Now I am coming to another question here. Let me write another question here. Let's say the question is like this: which of following is the correct order in ecological succession? Let's say you get a question like this one, and now I'm giving the option here: A, invasion, stabilization, competition; B, invasion, competition, stabilization. C, stabilization, invasion and competition. This is another way where UPSC can ask you question. This is I'm just giving you practice of different types of questions which can be asked in the exam. And direct kind of question there. What shall be the answer here? If let's say this question comes in the exam, so what shall be the answer here? What shall be the answer here? Good, very good. Answer is B. That's right. The answer is B here. All right, very good. The answer is B here. Here in this case, the answer is B. The answer is B here. Now let's understand here. Now what I'm coming here, let's understand here. The answer is B here. So there is a scientist who has contributed to this understanding. His name is Frederick. Right? Frederick Clement. He is a scientist. Developed a descriptive theory. Right? He has developed a descriptive theory. You can write this in your note copy there. Theory on ecological succession. Right? Like Frederick Clement, who developed the descriptive theory on ecological succession, has described it in following stages. Right, the following stages, the succession has been explained by Clement. You can say Frederick Clement, he is the father of succession, the scientist. In the subject of ecology, he has contributed. He has developed the descriptive theory of ecological succession, right? And he described the following stage. He said that the first stage is called nudation. According to Clement, the first stage is the nudation. That is the preparation of site to begin succession. Right? That is open site. Open site which gets prepared for the succession. Then what will happen here? It will be followed by invasion or migration. Sometimes it is called migration also there. It is called invasion, or it is also called as a migration. What is migration here? There will be arrival of spores or seeds to the prepared site, the site which is prepared by both primary and secondary succession, there will be arrival of the seeds and spores. Then what will happen here? Next stage will be here, what is called as here echesis. Again I am writing a technical word here, echesis. What is echesis? Echesis is the initial, there will be initial growth, right? Initial growth of vegetation on the prepared site. That is called echesis. Now what comes the next stage? As the plants will grow there, there will lead to competition. It will result into competition. There will be competition. Now what is competition here? That is here competition for nutrient, right? Competition for nutrients, water, light, by various species which arrive to the site. The various species arriving to the site. Arriving to the site, there will be competition for the nutrient and everything there, right? And competition will lead to some of the species will be able to survive, others will be not be able to survive. So there will be a reaction. There will be a reactionary phase. There will be a reactionary phase. What is reaction here? That will be displacement, right? There will be displacement of species due to competition. Because of the competition there, few of the species will be able to survive, others will not be able to survive. That will be reactionary phase. And this will continue, competition reaction will continue till the last moment, till the last where the process will get stable. It will not stop but will get stable there, right? So what will be here? The process of competition and reaction stages will finally lead to formation of climax community. That is the forest. Formation of climax community. That is called stabilization. Did you get here point? I'll just again go back to it. Frederick Clement is a scientist who has developed the theory of succession, and this can be also important for the exam. Let me say mark there. This can be a important part of the question, can be asked in the exam. Say unknown area. What is very important? Unknown area, where possibly question can be asked. So nudation process, that is preparation of site, right? Then followed by invasion, right? This lead to invasion here. Arrival of spores and seeds on the prepared site. Then echesis, initial growth of vegetation. Then there will be more and more species will come, competition will be there, and the competition will lead to reaction phase, where the displacement and replacement will happen there. And finally this process, competition and reaction, will lead to stabilization one, where the climax community, the forest, is formed. This is the theory which is given by Frederick Clement, and this could also be a question in the exam. It can be also asked a question in the examination there. Clear here? Are you able to understand here? Are you all able to understand this part? See, you have to always see from the previous year exam that which are the areas where question has not been asked there. Lakshya is asking that agriculture by clearing of forest land is an example of secondary succession, and that process will be fast. But agriculture, but you have changed that. See, it can only happen up to a point. It can only happen up to a point, right? It will not go beyond that. It's Frederick Clement. I have written here C-L-E-M-E-N-T. You all have copied it here? So we have completed ecological succession here. Right? This is where you require from the UPSC point of view. So I have just gone into that part. Right? So good, very good. I am really very happy that I am back to the class after a long time, and then you are able to understand things and all this one, right? All right, guys. Now we'll start with any question you have. Please ask me there. Other than climax, other than forest, it can be even the grassland also there. Grassland can also be climax part of. Whichever happens at the last, right? Whatever happens at the last will be the climax community. Is not. See, that again depends on the climatic condition, geographical factors of that area. Right? It again depends on the geographical area there. Again based on the geographical area. Right, again based on the geographical area, it depends on what can be the example there. So the question what has been asked, so you can see the example here, this one. It's not necessary that the forest can only be the climax community, right? Climax community can be here, it can be a tundra. Tundra is a, when you go to the Arctic, right? Arctic is the part of the North Pole, around that, near to the North Pole, the Siberian region. It can be grassland also, it can be desert. See, that again depends on the succession process. That again depends on the succession process. What type of forest will be there? That again depends on that part of it. Like, it depends on, again the forest will again depend on the type of the process there. Pioneer species is not necessarily only lichens and moss. It can be any aspect can be there, right? It can be any aspect which can be the part of, like here, this is also climax community. It again depends on the climatic conditions. What it depends on? It depends on the climatic condition. Right? Where the process slow down, remember that, where stabilization happens there. And depending on the climatic conditions, that can be a part of the, right? Let's say for example, if I just ask you a question here, let me just also go to one more area there. Let me ask the example here. Let's say I am asking a question here. Which of following is our, let's say if I ask the question there, examples of climax community. And let's say I am giving here option: mangrove forest, boreal forest, then another example here, let's say alpine meadows, right? And let's say here I am giving the option here: one only, B 1 and 2 only, C 1, 2 and 3, and D none. What answer will be here? What comes at the end and becomes stable is not necessary that it has to be always a forest. So what will be answer here? Let's say you get a question like this, right? The question is like this. So what will be answer here? I am trying to make you understand the concept. I am trying to make you understand the concept here. I am trying to make you understand the concept here. It's not necessary that always the forest will be there, right? It's not necessary that it will be always a forest only there, right? It can be simple grassland also there. It can be again tundra or desert also. What comes at the last there, right? What comes at the last, that can also be part of it. Right? So here answer is the answer will be here, all of this. C is the answer. 1, 2 and 3. Mangrove forest is a swamp, on the swamp forest there, right? In the swamp forest it generates there. And again you have trees and plants. Boreal forest is the conifers. Coniferous forest there. Or it is also called taiga. In geography you have studied there's something called taiga forest there. Siberia and that region there. Alpine meadow, that is a, here mountainous, is a mountainous grassland. This is basically mountainous grassland. That is called part of it. I'll show you the alpine meadow. This is alpine meadow. This is called meadow. Like when you go to Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, right, sometime Ladakh. Uttarakhand, I can give you best example. This one, Valley of Flowers, National Park in the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. It is called alpine meadow. What is called here? Alpine meadows. Meadows have this kind of flowers, flowering plants and grasses and all, and they are mountainous. They are found in the mountainous area. Darjeeling, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, in higher reaches of Himalayas, you'll find this kind of alpine meadows there. Right? So that's what you have to know the example. You have to connect with geography here. Right? You have to connect with the geography here. So this all can become, so answer is 1, 2, 3. Answer is 1, 2, 3. Clear everybody? Now I will come to next topic here. I am now coming to next topic here. Alright, thank you everyone. So I am now coming to the next topic. I am going to clear the whiteboard and then we'll see the next topic here. And I hope that you all have copied it. I hope that you all have copied all the points there. So now let's come to the next point here. I will be now going to the next topic here. See why I am giving you all this kind of questions and examples, so that you become clear of that. When you read textbooks, right? When you read NCERT book or textbook, you are lost. You are not able to understand what is succession, what is all this kind of technical words, jargon comes into that. And you are very much worried कि यार क्या ये मैं समझ से बाहर जा रहा है ना? So for your understanding part, I am going to such a way that I am providing you the points there also. You should know the important point. What is required for the examination, you shall be aware of that. And then examples, connecting with geography, ecological concept, will connect with geography part. And you will be able to solve maximum number of questions in the exam. Right? So I hope you all have copied this one. I am going to clean the whiteboard. So let us now go into another topic here. And that is a link with the topic of pollution. I have already mentioned that Newton cycle or biogeochemical cycle, which is a very important topic, and you get continuous questions in the exam. UPSC has asked lots of questions in the examination about Newton cycle or biogeochemical cycle. Let us now discuss all this part of it. Now let's come to here biogeochemical cycle. I am now coming to that part, right? Now if you look at here, biogeochemical cycle. Is important for the exam, and there can be lots, direct or indirect question can be asked in the exam. That's what I marked here. It is also called a nutrient cycle. It is also referred to as nutrient cycle. Let's understand one by one. I will be just going through the point one by one. Now what is there here? In biosphere, see, in biosphere, then atmosphere, the four components are there. Atmosphere, lithosphere, right? Land mass, lithosphere, and water bodies and water mass, fresh water or saline water, salt water, sea and ocean, that is a hydrosphere. Right? What happens in all the living sphere like plants and animals, biosphere, then atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, important nutrients, right? Important nutrients such as carbon, right? Carbon, nitrogen, right? Sulfur, etc. circulate. See, in the food chain, food web, what happened? It goes straight forward, straight path. But in case of nutrient, it gets cycled, right? So here, sulfur, etc. circulate, right? Circulate there between non-living and living components, right? Between non-living and living components. And that is studied under the biogeochemical cycle. So what happens is that the first part is the abiotic, non-living part, right? Let's say here it can be land, right? It can be air, or it can be soil or water. It can be water, land, air, water, right? And it can circulate between these two parts. So from here it goes to the living plants, animals, right? Where plants, animal, microorganism, right? They all get involved here, right? Microbes and all will get involved with the living world here, right? And again, after death of plants, animals, bacteria and all, they circulate back to the part of the non-living component part of it, right? So here what happens is that depending on here, say depending on its reserve pool, where is the pool, where is the reserve pool, right? Or you can say it's the reservoir, where maximum amount is left reservoir, and process of circulation and process of the method by which it gets back to the right process circulation, right, and return to its reserve pool, to its reservoir or reserve pool, right? Nutrient cycles are categorized into two broad categories: biogeochemical cycles are divided into two broad categories, right? Into two broad categories. Which are two broad categories here? The first one is called as the gaseous cycle. We call it as a gaseous cycle, right? And second one is called as a sedimentary cycle. It is called as a sedimentary cycle. Gaseous cycle, sedimentary cycle. That depends on the reserve pool. Where the reserve pool is there, depending upon the reserve pool, right, where you have a reservoir of that particular element, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, and the method by which it circulates, atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, and again it returns back to the reserve pool. The two types of nutrient cycles, gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycles, right? I'll give you the examples here. Let's look at the examples. But I'll ask a question here. I'll ask a question to the class. Let's see how many of you can answer the question here. Let's say the question is like this one. Let's say I'm asking a question here based on the point what I've written on the whiteboard. You can copy that one. Please copy the points. I'll give you the examples of gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle, but other point you write it down there. Have you written that? Have you written that? Okay, we all have written there. Now let's look at here. I am asking a question here. Which of following is are examples of gaseous cycle? Nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, sulfur cycle, water cycle. Now I am giving the option here. The options are 2 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, and C I am giving here. Let's say 1, 3 and 4, or it's a 1, 2 and 3, and the last one is here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Be quick, what will be answer here? Which of these are examples of gaseous cycles? Then I'll return back to the whiteboard. Nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, sulfur cycle, water cycle. What will be answer here? Shivam is saying all. What shall be the answer here? I am getting C, B, D, all this answer there. Okay, now let me come to the answer here. The answer here is B. B is the answer. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. Sulfur is example of sedimentary cycle. Sulfur is example of sedimentary cycle. Whereas nitrogen, carbon, water, they are the example of gaseous cycle. Right? Why it is called sedimentary cycle, I will come to that. You may argue that sulfur dioxide gas is found in atmosphere. The answer is B here. The answer here is a B as an answer there. A very simple question I have asked, but still many are given the answer C as an answer. Many of you have given me D as an answer. यूपीएससी परीक्षा में ऐसे ही सिंपल क्वेश्चंस होंगे. अब बहुतों का विकेट चला जाएगा. I have asked a very simple question that which of these following is our gaseous cycle. I knew that you will make mistake. I knew that most of you will do this kind of mistake there, that you will not get the correct answer there, and most of you have done that blunder. Though sulfur, although sulfur is found in the sulfur dioxide gas in the atmosphere, but what is the reserve of sulfur? Element sulfur. I am talking about sulfur as an element. Where is the reserve pole of the sulfur? Earth crust. It is the earth crust. Sulfur and phosphorus are two minerals where the earth crust is the reservoir, and it returns to the reservoir. It comes back to the reservoir through the process of sedimentation. How it comes back to the reservoir pool? It returns back to the reservoir pool by the process of sedimentation. So now I am coming to the whiteboard. Now I am writing the point on the whiteboard. Now if you see here, now let me write the point here. Gaseous cycles are hydrological cycle, water cycle, then carbon cycle. See, all four components are there. Living component and the non-living component, atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, carbon cycle also comes there. Right? Water cycle also becomes a part of living world. Right? Then also in terms of nitrogen, sulfur is also there, but sulfur, the reserve pool of sulfur is earth crust. Now here carbon cycle, then nitrogen cycle. Now nitrogen cycle here, nitrogen cycle. And if you want to add here also oxygen cycle. These all are gaseous cycle. Sedimentary cycle comes here, sulfur cycle, and phosphorus cycle. Let me give the reason for that, right? Where you made a mistake there, I am writing the reason here. Gaseous cycle here, the reserve pool here. The reserve pool is atmosphere, right? Is atmosphere. Here the reserve pool of a gaseous cycle is atmosphere. Most abundant gas in the atmosphere is nitrogen. Then carbon dioxide again atmosphere, and again ocean takes up. Cloud, water vapor and all cloud, right? Atmosphere and oceans. Whereas the sedimentary cycle here, the reserve pool of this sedimentary cycle is earth crust, right? Is the earth crust, and it recycles, to the reservoir, recycle to reserve pool by sedimentation process, to reserve pool by sedimentation, right? So it returns back to the reserve pool by the method of sedimentation. We'll see that, you'll understand that. When I'll discuss sulfur cycle, you'll be able to understand how sulfur cycle returns back to the reserve pool, that is the earth crust. You'll be able to understand. That happens through sedimentation. So reserve pool by sedimentation, by process of sedimentation. So this I have given you the introduction part. What I'm writing on the board, this is the introduction part, right? Is it clear here? Although sulfur as a gas can exist in the atmosphere, but the reserve of the sulfur as a mineral is in the earth crust, and it returns to the reserve pool by the process of sedimentation. That's why sulfur cycle is called to be sedimentary cycle rather than calling gaseous cycle, right? So I have written very clearly here that water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and also you can include oxygen cycle. So reserve pool is atmosphere and oceans. And again for sedimentary cycle, reserve pool is earth crust, and it recycles, right, to reserve pool by process of sedimentation. The last sentence is by the process of sedimentation. Those of you who cannot see the whiteboard, I am reading out, by process of sedimentation. And the examples are sulfur cycle and phosphorus cycle. Is it clear here? Are you able to understand here? Now what I'll do here, now what we are going to do in the classroom is that all these nutrient cycle, all 6 of them, water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and oxygen cycle, sulfur cycle, and phosphorus cycle, all these 6 cycles, right? You need to know the processes. What are the important processes? You must be aware of the processes. Even sometimes in the question paper, whichever exam, whether you appear in UPSC exam or any other state level exam or any competitive exam, sometimes there can be direct question on the processes. Second type of questions are what? Linked with pollution. It can be connected with pollution, like for example carbon cycle is linked with global warming and climate change, because carbon dioxide gas is a greenhouse gas, right? Nitrogen cycle is linked with the eutrophication, right, because of the pollution in this part, fertilizer and chemical fertilizer we are using that. Sulfur cycle, nitrogen cycle are linked with acid rain, formation of acid rain. It can be linked question also there. So there are different ways UPSC can ask you question. And if you look at previous year questions, just see from 2011 till 2020 question papers, direct and indirect. Indirect based on pollution, UPSC has asked question on these cycles. So we'll go through it one by one. We'll start with one and we'll go to the remaining one by one. Is it clear here? Are you able to understand this one? And we'll build upon this one by one. Now the printed notes or the handout which I've shared in the first class, there you have ecological succession also. Biotic interaction, after that you have ecological succession, and also biogeochemical cycle. So please follow the handout which I've shared in the first class. In the first class login page, the handout, please go through the topics there. Whatever I'm completing in this class, I'm following that area. I'm doing that part of it. And once I'm done with this ecological concept, I told you in the previous class, I'm going to start with biological diversity, biodiversity topic, which is very, very important for the coming exam. Right? Clear there? So let me see if you have any doubt. You can ask me the doubt here. or else we'll continue with the topic there. Okay, you want break? Do you want break? All right, so let's have a break here. Let's have a break here. भाइयों और बहनों, मित्रों, राइट, बायो ब्रेक ले लीजिए आप. say I am a very friendly, right? Don't hesitate to talk to me in that. You can put in the chat box. I understand that. I know that over the previous classes I have not given you break, right? But don't worry, I will give the break. ठीक है, let's have a break. ठीक है, let's have a break. After break, with fresh mind, we'll start with the topics there. At least we'll complete all this ecological, this biogeochemical cycles in today's class, right? So that in the next class we are able to go into more important topics. Which are more important topics? Biodiversity topic, certain species, conservation, national parks, sanctuary, all those areas, conventions, conferences, all this will come into that. So at least the static part, let's at least complete the static part in today's class, right? So that we will go to the dynamic parts in the future classes there. Let's have a break. ठीक है, चलिए break ले लेते हैं. So shall we start with the topic? Yes? All right. So let us begin with the topic one by one. We'll go to all topics there, right? So let's first start with hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle or water cycle, right? So there's one very famous poem on Kublai Khan. I don't know how many of you are from English literature and have read the poem. So Kublai Khan and I think Samuel he has written about this Coleridge, Samuel T. Coleridge. He has written a poem on Kublai Khan. And there's one famous line there: water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Right? Same thing is true with the water cycle here. Earth has got abundant water. There's so much of water on the earth, but still usable water, and particularly drinking water, is very scarce. Right? So that's what the saying, that water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. So that is now what is situation becoming right now, because of the water scarcity and the problem what India or developing country or poor countries are facing right now in terms of water scarcity, right? So water cycle is very, very important for all of us to understand. And what I said here, that whatever cycle I am going to discuss in the classroom, I'll connect with some current aspect, some of the important areas where you could get question in the exam. So let's come to the water cycle here. First basic process there. Hydrological cycle, the first part is that, right, if you see the earth, right, more than 70%, right, more than, right, 70%, right, of water is found in oceans, Indian Oceans, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Oceans, right. Remaining, if you look at remaining water, if you look at remaining water, where do you find the remaining water? Remaining water is found in polar ice, right? Arctic, Antarctica, the ice, the solidified form, polar ice, then mountain glaciers like Himalayan glacier, mountain glaciers, again the form of ice there, right? Then surface water, like here streams, river, lake, etc. And where do you find the remaining one there? And remaining They're in the groundwater. So there is abundant water. And water on earth has always remained there for millennia. For several years, thousands of years, water on the earth has remained as it is. Total amount of water has not changed. Total amount of water as it is on the earth has remained as it is. It has not happened that water has escaped to moon or Jupiter or any other planet. It has gone to the outer space. No. The total amount of water remains as it is on the earth. Only its form change. What are the form there? Solid, ice, liquid, water, and gas, cloud, the vapor, water vapor, right? So here total amount of water remains constant on the earth, right? On the earth, it remains constant on the earth, right? Remains constant on the earth. It has not changed. Total amount has remained as the same, right? Only form change. Only form change to solid, that is the ice and snow. Liquid, that is the water, right? In terms of water there, liquid as a water, and gas and gaseous, that is a water vapor. Right? So much of water is there, even that what water we need to use, that is becoming scarce. Scarcity is there, right? Now third thing here. Third aspect of the water cycle is that some basic inherent process there. Now what are the processes here? Now how the process happened there? What are the important processes where the changes in the water and this hydrological cycle works there, right? Only 1% is the fresh water and less than 1% is the groundwater, usable form of water. So like you have processes here, the one you know that, what is here? That is a evaporation. Evaporation that happens from the surface water, lakes, rivers, oceans, they get evaporated. So evaporation, then it forms what? Cloud, that is a condensation. And then what happens there? Precipitation, the rainfall and the precipitation. The precipitation happens there. And then it goes to the surface water, lake, river, groundwater, and finally to the oceans there. And again the evaporation. There is one process there. Second process is what? Respiration, biological respiration. In the biological respiration process, what happens in the respiration process? We give out the water vapor, that is a C6H12. The glucose is broken down with oxygen to 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water vapor, H2O. Plants, animals, they respire. So we take oxygen. Oxygen has become so important. Right? Oxygen has become very important now. Right? Hospitals, you see the situation in hospitals. Oxygen cylinder. Right? We are now, fighting for oxygen cylinder. Kala bajari ho raha hai oxygen cylinder. Oxygen has become so important. So what we take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Along with carbon dioxide, we also give out water vapor. So again is linked with the water cycle and carbon cycle, respiration. Third comes here what? Transpiration. What is transpiration? What do you mean by transpiration? What is transpiration? What is transpiration? Transpiration is a loss of water as water vapor from the leaves of the plant. The bottom of the leaves, there's some kind of pores called stomata, and there the water is lost as a water vapor. But again, there can be loss from cuticle on the trees and plants. So here, what is transpiration? That is a loss of excess water. Loss of excess water. Right? Loss of excess water as water vapor, as water vapor from stomata. I am writing here stomata, right? Stomata, cuticle, there may be sometimes cuticle also, cuticle, then lenticel of plants. That again goes to the atmosphere, right? Another one is what? Melting of ice, polar ice, melting of polar ice or mountain glaciers, right? Polar ice or glacier. So what happens in that case? When the melting takes place, it releases water, right? Water goes to the rivers, so there's the water will be released here. And again, what happens there? Freezing. The process of freezing. When freeze, again the polar ice and those things are formed there, like mountain glaciers are formed there because of freezing here. So this is the water cycle. What I've explained here, this is the water cycle. But today this water cycle is disturbed, right? Fresh water, if you look at, is a very, very small quantity. And this is now getting affected because of the global warming, climate change. Water bodies are now getting affected. Pollution. What we as a human being dump the untreated sewage and municipality waste and untreated effluent into the water bodies. We are polluting the water source, and particularly the fresh water source, rivers and lakes, we are polluting there. Global warming, climate change impact on the water bodies. At the same time, the groundwater, even the groundwater, which is very, very less than 1%, we are polluting the groundwater also there. So now today this hydrological cycle has become very, very prominent to understand from the current modern time in terms of the water requirement, what human beings require there. Here I have just given you the theory part. This is the theory part. So please write it down. I'll take you to current aspect. I'll take you to certain current aspect. An important report we'll discuss, but first you write it down, right? Any doubt you have, please ask. Any doubt you have, please do ask. And please write it down. Whatever I am writing on the whiteboard, please do copy it. Any doubt you have? Anything you want to ask me? Have you all copied it? Have you all copied it? Okay, just watch this documentary, then I'll come back to you in a while there. Now what I just played here videos, 2 documentaries what you have seen there. That's based on the report called Water Development Report. It's based on the report called Water Development Report. And you can see here, this is the what you have seen right now, 19th March 2019. This World Water Development Report was there, which is, the title was Leaving No One Behind. Right, World Water Day is celebrated on 22nd March there. So this is where the report was brought here. And this is a very, very important report here, that safe drinking waters, 18th March, I'm sorry, World Water Day, 18th March. Now, leaving no one behind, right? Leaving no one behind. There is a report of the United Nations. There is a body called UN Water, right? There is a body called UN Water. United Nations work with different areas and the bodies there. For water, the dedicated body is there, right? The UN Water there, and they have all this kind of development reports which are there, brought by such kind of, and again you will find that Sustainable Development Goals 6, no, 17 goals, 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which were brought in Rio conference, right? Rio Plus 20 conference in 2012, and goal number 6 is clean water and sanitation, right? Why? See, first I discussed what is water cycle, but I'm now taking you to some current aspect on that. So here, this is where the water development reports are there. Every year during World Water Day, this type of reports are brought by UN, and this year is a valuing water. What is the theme here? The valuing water. The value of the water, that is the theme of 2021. 2020, water and climate change was there. 2019, leaving no one behind. That was the report there, right? So what you see, these are the reports here, and again it works on different areas. So this is the part, leaving no one behind. And see here, what is said here? There is an increasing worldwide demand of water 1% per year since 1980s. Since 1980s, there is 1% growing demand every year for water is happening there. And because of the population growth, socio-economic development, changing consumption pattern, global warming, climate change has another impact on the water bodies there. And by 2050, there will be a scarcity of water because of climate change impact. And what is said here? More than 2 billion people live in countries with high water stress. India comes into that part also there. And 4 billion people, right, they have severe water scarcity during the at least 1 month of the year. Like last year, Chennai in the summer, it was a terrible in Chennai because water was not enough there. So UN Development Report, this one, and again remember that water is a necessity because of human rights. Having drinking water, getting drinking water is the part of human rights of individuals, right? So here it comes into how improvement in water resource management and access to water supply and sanitation services are important to address social economic inequalities. They're part of it. That is where the report focus on that, particularly on the safe drinking water and sanitation part of it, right? So this is what I have just brought to you. So that this kind of things you have to come across. Whatever I am discussing as a part of the water cycle and all, but you have to connect with the part of the development and current aspect from the global perspective, India perspective, right? Is it clear here? Are you able to understand here? Whatever I'm able to deliver in the classroom there, you are able to understand that? All right, so what I'll do right now, I will take you to the next cycle. Now we'll cover next important cycle, right? So the 17 goals are there. Goal number 6 is on water, right? Now let's come to the next part of it. I'm now coming to another cycle, very, very important cycle. You all have copied this one? Have you all copied it? I have given you time to copy that, or if you have not copied, I can wait for you people. Have you all copied these points there? These are the basic points which I have mentioned in the classroom. But again, you connect with the current aspect. See, UPSc can ask you anything with the basic aspect of the cycle, but it may be linked with some kind of pollution issues, climate change and other areas, which will integrate, don't worry. See, you are a new batch. I know that you all are new batch, new students, So I will slowly integrate the topic, not now, but slowly we'll go into that. And don't worry about sustainable development goals. I will teach in your batch. In your batch, I will be teaching you UN conferences, conventions, right, protocols, sustainable development goals. I will be going through that, right? So don't worry, right? Now I am teaching you the basic fundamental areas, and then connecting with the part of current aspects, some of the areas there. But again, the advanced topics I am going to discuss in the classroom, right? That's what I'm saying, that the way this subject requires kind of integration, it is very, very important for the examination. All right. So I hope you all have copied it. So I'll clean the whiteboard and then I'll go to the next cycle. Next cycle is another very important cycle, carbon cycle. We'll discuss now carbon cycle, right? We'll go to the carbon cycle there. So now look at here, carbon cycle. There have been questions asked on carbon cycle in UPSC exam. There was a direct question about which of the processes add carbon to the environment. So it was given volcanic eruption, respiration, decomposition of organic matter, right, photosynthesis, all these options were given there, right? We'll see that one. But let us understand here, carbon cycle. Carbon cycle part of it, right? Now here, see, first of all, what is source of carbon dioxide? The first point I am giving here, sources of carbon dioxide gas. Right? That is the burning of fossil fuel. Like today, human development, the fossil fuels, whatever the fossil fuels we are burning, like for example, where in vehicles, let's say vehicles, vehicular emission, then power plants, thermal power plants and all, right, there we are using that, right? So factories, industries, wherever we are burning those kind of fossil fuel, right, generate the carbon dioxide gas, right? Then again, burning of biomass, agriculture waste, let's say stubble, right? Stubble and all this biomass. When we openly burn this biomass, it also generates the carbon dioxide gas which go to the atmosphere. Chulhas, you know, in villages and all, chulha and all which burn in rural areas, again carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide gas go to the atmosphere. Then apart from that, volcanic eruption, right? Volcanic eruption, it throw out number of gases into the atmosphere, right? Volcanic eruptions. Apart from volcanic eruptions, you know that again another aspect of the can be decomposition of organic matter, bacteria in the soil which break down the organic matter. So here, breakdown of organic matter, there is a decomposition process there. Organic matter by soil bacteria and all this. Soil bacteria or anaerobe, all those kind of condition there. It can also result into that. There is another process which you all know, respiration. I said that we take in oxygen and then we inhale oxygen in respiration and we give out carbon dioxide gas, right? So respiration, that is again source of the carbon dioxide gas, right? So these are the sources, right, which goes to the atmosphere and all. Now what comes here, the second part which comes here, sink, right, absorption of carbon dioxide. How the carbon dioxide gets absorbed, right, by different processes there. Absorption of carbon dioxide gas, right, what is also called as a carbon sink. We use the word carbon sink, and here we use the word carbon emission, which result into emission form, that is a carbon emission, right, and carbon sink here. Now what is the, in this context of the carbon sink, right, natural carbon sinks, like you all know that forest, right, forest, plants, grasses, they carry out photosynthesis. So here the process of photosynthesis, right, what happens in photosynthesis, that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, right, the green pigment, sunlight and chlorophyll, the plants is able to capture and convert into carbohydrate, glucose and plus gives out oxygen, right? Plus you have a energy also there, right? So photosynthesis by plants, then algae, right? Green algae, right? Phytoplanktons, all this are there. So there's one process by which the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere can be taken up. So when you take example here, ecosystem example. So let's say grassland, forest, all these ecosystems where the photosynthesis is the process there, right? So here the examples will come to the ecosystem here. Forest as an ecosystem, right? Grassland, wherever the plants are there, right? Then in terms of even the wetland, there's a one type of wetland called the peatland, right? Peatland, very important for the exam. Peatland. Peatland is a form of wetland, land filled with water, and you have the vegetation there. And the largest terrestrial carbon sink is the peatland. Peat is the, when you say peat here, let me write here. Peat is a decomposed plant matter, from plant organic matter in the water there, organic matter, plant organic matter, right, found in such kind of peatland. You know, one type of coal is also peatland. Peat is a type of coal also. What happened, the land which is submerged with water, what we call wetland. Later on in biodiversity topic, I will cover wetland topics there, but now just understand those wetlands where you have different types of vegetation, and when this vegetation die, they get buried, right? This plants which die there, they get very buried inside, and the water and the soil that converts into kind of a thick kind of a pit, kind of humus kind of material there. Peatlands are the largest terrestrial carbon sink, even more than forest, right? Is a part of, so matter found in peatland, that is the largest kind of thing comes into that. So all these are there, example which comes into that. Again, how the absorption of carbon dioxide can become there? Diffusion of carbon dioxide gas, right? Diffusion of carbon dioxide gas, right, from atmosphere, carbon dioxide gas can be absorbed by oceans there. Large ocean, remember that. The ocean here, oceans, what happens is that it takes up the carbon dioxide gas from the atmosphere. The direct diffusion is there, right? It dissolved there, and then happened dissolution. It dissolved there, right? Dissolution to form carbonate. Like you'll find ocean water has carbonate and bicarbonate. This carbonate and bicarbonate are formed, right, by dissolving this kind of a carbon dioxide gas from atmosphere, and that leads to acidification. That results into acidification. The diffusion of carbon dioxide gas from the atmosphere direct by the ocean, almost around 1/3, results into what is called here, results into ocean acidification by forming this carbonate and bicarbonate which reacts there. So if too much of carbon dioxide will be dangerous. If there too much of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere, greenhouse effect, global warming and climate change. But again, the ocean will also get acidified because ocean can directly take up CO2. Plus in the ocean, what you have phytoplanktons, diatoms and phytoplanktons. They also take up the carbon dioxide in the photosynthesis process. So that is where the ocean in terms of sink becomes very important, resulting to ocean acidification, right? Which is the part of salt and this part which becomes into that, right? Again, you know that when the death of the plants, when the plants and death happens there, they get buried and go into the deep into the earth, and under the temperature pressure it forms the coal, fossil fuel. So what is third point here comes here? Death of plants, right? Death of plants, and they get buried, right? Buried under the earth, right? Buried under the earth, and after long time, right? It forms here, formation of coal, right? Formation of coal, that is a fossil fuel. And then we take it out and we burn it, right? We take it out, this carbon dioxide, coal and all, and we burn it there. So death of plants, there is a decomposition. There is decomposition by the bacteria, right? There is a decomposition by bacteria, soil bacteria which breaks down. So there will be release of the carbonic matter to the soil, but also buried under the earth, and then under long time, right? Because of excessive pressure and temperature, right? Height, pressure and temperature. So what happens that the plant matter converts into coal, formation of coal, and then the same coal we take it out and we burn it, right? The same burning of the fossil fuel or burning of coal in the thermal power plant, right? That releases the carbon dioxide gas. Burning of the coal, when we take it out from the earth and whatever process we burn there is release of carbon dioxide that goes to the atmosphere, right? So these are the basic parts of carbon cycle, and we all know that carbon dioxide gas is a greenhouse gas. So now the big problem, this cycle has got disturbed. This cycle is now disturbed because of excessive burning of fossil fuel. We are generating more carbon dioxide gas to the atmosphere, and that is now resulting into greenhouse effect, more greenhouse effect, and the global warming, climate change. It has become a big problem because of the uncontrolled, continuous human development based on burning of the fossil fuel or biomass, which has resulted into the current problem of global warming, climate change, right? So here what I have given here as example, I have given from the cycle point of view, right? Buried under the earth, release of carbon dioxide gas. Now buried under the earth, coal, formation of coal, we take out the coal and again we burn, and again goes the carbon dioxide taken by the plants. The plant will take up the carbon dioxide, and again organic matter, death of the plant, again soil bacteria will break down there. So here release of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, and then it is taken by photosynthesis. The plant will take into the photosynthesis by plants, and again that death of the plants and release of that, right? The carbon dioxide burning of coal and then goes to carbon dioxide. Then green plants and all again take the carbon dioxide, convert to organic matter. When the plant die, again get buried, and again after a long time it forms a fossil fuel. The coal is formed, right? So one cycle is this, the third one, and the other cycle I mentioned, burning of fossil fuel and all this. Correct? Any doubt, any question you have, you can copy all these points which I am writing on the whiteboard. Please do copy that. At least you have something to revise, right? So please write it down. Any doubt you have? I am talking about natural process. I am not talking about artificial process. Videos got blurred because of the camera focus there. Camera takes time to focus, that's what the video got blurred there. Okay, there is a question from Vivek. Vivek has a question that does succession from forest to desert is a succession? Yes. Vivek, you are right. Even the forest getting converted to desert, right, based on climatic condition, that will also become the part of the succession. That will also become the part of succession there. You are correct. I have said now, whichever at the end the process gets stabilized, slow down, and becomes a mature type of ecosystem, that is a climax community. You are right, Vivek, you are right. I am happy you are asking the question that. Okay, I will explain the carbon cycle again. I will again explain the carbon cycle. Let me again go into that. Let me again explain everything here. I will again explain everything here. I am starting one by one. You can just focus on the whiteboard. I am explaining that. Sources of carbon dioxide, like carbon emission, like burning of fossil fuel, coal and hydrocarbon, whatever you burn there, like vehicles, cars, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, right? There we burn it there. Then power plants, thermal power plant where we burn the coal and all. Factories, industries, chimneys that can release the smoke, go to the environment. Burning of biomass, like in villages, chulhas, fuel wood. The burning of biomass, again CO2 gas will go to the atmosphere. Then volcanic eruption, volcanoes. When the volcano erupts, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, they all go to atmosphere, right? Then breakdown of organic matter, decomposition, where the bacteria break down the organic matter, also release CO2 gas to the atmosphere. Then respiration. What happens in respiration? We take air inside, oxygen, and the glucose is broken down in aerobic respiration, and end product is CO2 gas, carbon dioxide gas, which we exhale out. So humans, animals, plants, they all carry out respiration. Even the bacteria, soil bacteria will also carry out respiration. That will also release the carbon dioxide gas, right? Now absorption of carbon dioxide gas. I am coming to second point is the absorption of CO2 gas. What I've written in the bracket, carbon sink. Now first is photosynthesis. Plants, grasses, algae, photosynthetic algae, diatom, phytoplanktons, all these are capable of capturing CO2 gas from the atmosphere in the biological process of photosynthesis. So here plants, algae and all, they use the photosynthesis with the help of chlorophyll pigment, make the carbohydrate glucose and oxygen, right? Now which type of ecosystems can be called natural carbon sink? Forest, grassland, wherever you have trees and plants, right? What we have discussed in the productivity, ecosystem productivity. If you remember previous class, I have discussed the ecosystem productivity where photosynthesis can be done. Pit land, very, very important. Pit land, pit is also a type of coal. Pit, bituminous, lignite and anthracene, all these are different. Pit is basically decomposed plant matter, organic matter, which get decomposed. So pit land is basically a wet land, right? Wet land. I'll be covering wetland separately there, but I'm just giving you an idea. Pit land is a kind of a large area where land is submerged with water. Bog, you can say daldal, bog and marshy areas and all, filled with water. And you have plants there. The plants are which are growing on this kind of water bodies. And these plants which die, they get submerged, buried, and decomposition causes the pit. You made pit formation. So pit land, they are the largest terrestrial carbon sink. I am talking terrestrial, land-based carbon sink, right? So that pit land is decomposed organic matter, right? Then second process is diffusion of CO2 gas from atmosphere by oceans. Now what happens here? See here. This is the ocean. I have drawn here. This is the ocean. Atmospheric carbon dioxide diffuse. The process, direct diffusion happens to the sea water, ocean water, and they get dissolve to form carbonate and bicarbonate salt. CO2 gas in the atmosphere will be taken by ocean. This is the ocean here. Takes up CO2 gas. It gets diffused in the ocean water, dissolve with the salt and form the carbonates and bicarbonates. Right? Sometimes skeleton of marine and organisms will be made of a calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate. So again comes from that carbon. So when the CO2 gas is taken by the oceans, which it goes through a diffusion process, so the carbonate and bicarbonate, carbonic acid, which is a weak acid, it results into ocean acidification. It results into ocean acidification. What I've written here, diffusion of CO2 gas from the atmosphere by oceans results into ocean acidification. I'll write here one third of carbon dioxide from atmosphere. Right, one third of CO2 gas from atmosphere is taken by oceans. Now understand. Now just try to understand. Because of burning of fossil fuel, because of excessive use of fossil fuel, when in the atmosphere there will be more and more CO2 gas, more, kind of a piling up of CO2 gas. Ocean is a large body, will take up CO2 gas. More amount of CO2 gas, more diffusion by ocean, more ocean acidification. If ocean becomes acidified too much, high level of acidification will have direct impact on marine organisms, phytoplanktons, microalgae, right? Even the coral will also get damaged because of excessive acidification. Because acidification happens of ocean, what? Direct diffusion of CO2 gas from the atmosphere. But since we as a human development, human activities are releasing more CO2 gas in the atmosphere, right? So that is again I have written that will result into a problem there. Then I have written here third one, death of plants, decomposition by bacteria. Now plant matter get buried under the earth. Then after long time, under excessive pressure and temperature, formation of coal as a fossil fuel. We take out the coal, arrow, burning of coal in thermal power plant and whatever process we want. It releases carbon dioxide, release of CO2 gas. Now this will atmosphere, and again green plants will take the carbon dioxide gas by photosynthesis, and again the organic matter will be formed. And once the plant die, again decomposition, burial, and again coal formation, right? One more thing is there about, I'll write here, one more aspect of carbon cycle is there. Dry ice, solid ice or solid carbon dioxide, dry ice. There's also one more aspect here. Let me write here, that is a source of that, that's a melting of polar ice, right? Or snow. What is something called here dry ice. What is dry ice? Where you have solidified carbon dioxide, solid CO2. So melting of polar ice and snow, even mountain glacier also, where you have dry ice, solid carbon dioxide gas, so that will be released to atmosphere. The carbon dioxide gas will get released to the atmosphere. Again there is source of carbon, right? Melting of polar ice or mountain glacier where you have a dry ice. What is dry ice? Solidified carbon dioxide, and that can release melting. What will happen there? Imagine that polar ice and all frozen form, the carbon dioxide gas, when the ice is formed, polar ice is formed, it takes up CO2, and solidified carbon dioxide in the frozen form is inside the ice. Now because of the greenhouse effect, because of the global warming, polar ice is melting, Arctic Antarctica is melting. This will release the CO2 gas to the atmosphere. CO2 gas goes to the atmosphere, and again will contribute to more warming, right? It becomes a cyclic process. So here this is the melting of polar ice and snow, dry ice, solidified carbon dioxide released to atmosphere, right? That goes into that. So again this is a very, very important for all of you to understand. See why today in the classroom I am going to basic processes. I am teaching you the basic processes because all this will be required for your understanding of pollution topic. When I'll teach you the environmental pollution, global warming, climate change, ozone depletion, all those topics which will be dealt in the classroom. So at least at the back of the mind, you have that carbon cycle. What are the processes in carbon cycle? So if you know this kind of cycle and the processes, it becomes very easy to connect with the pollution, environmental problems, global warming, climate change and all those areas. Right? That's what I'm trying to connect with that. Is it clear here? What I've explained here? Right? What I've explained here? Clear here? Anshul, Mishra, all of you who have requested me. All of you who have requested me, is it clear to everybody? If you all are clear, then I'll come to pitland later on, don't worry. I'll just, but it is a very important topic there. Right? It's a very, very important topic there. That's what any doubt you have, any question? Dry ice is frozen CO2 gas in solid form. Yes. Vishwanath, you're right. Vishwanath, you're correct. Vishwanath, you are very correct. Have you all copied it? Please copy it. Please copy it. Whatever I am mentioning here, please do copy that. Please copy that. Now just see this one.
Imagine a bog.
Some people don't like added sugar in their juice.
So say hello to Ocean Spray 100% juice.
And goodbye to added sugar.
No, wait, not that kind of bog. We're talking about this kind of bog. This is called a peatland.
Peat is partially decayed organic matter. It forms when the rate of accumulation exceeds the rate of decomposition. It takes thousands of years to produce a meter of peat.
There are two kinds of peatlands, tropical and temperate. Temperate peatlands form in regions of the world that regularly experience freezing temperatures, limiting the rate of decomposition. Tropical peatlands form, despite the higher temperatures, in water that is retained in tropical soil that slows decomposition.
Because it is so nutrient rich, peat is often used in agriculture. It is also burned to produce heat in countries such as Scotland and Finland. However, the use of peat for energy has declined rapidly in the last few years due to increased environmental legislative restrictions.
Peatlands make up 3% of the world's surface area, yet store more than twice the amount of carbon than the world's forests do. They also act like a sponge, absorbing water during the rainy season and releasing it during the dry season, a crucial process in regulating climate. Peatlands face an immediate risk from deforestation and land use trends. When peatlands are used in agriculture, for example, they are often drained, making them more susceptible to fires.
Peatlands of the world are also at long-term risk because of climate change. This is a problem because these peatlands act as carbon sinks, meaning they contain a significant portion of the world's carbon stores. Like most carbon-rich materials, peatland bogs are susceptible to burning. When peatlands burn, they release their sequestered carbon in the form of CO2, a greenhouse gas.
If just a third of this peatland burned, the amount of CO2 in the air would double. Scientists say a change like this in the composition of the atmosphere could warm the planet about 5 degrees Celsius, a catastrophic rise. For this reason, it is paramount that we prioritize the protection of existing peatlands, especially in a world where we still use fossil fuels.
This graph shows which mitigation strategies have the equivalent impact on carbon emissions as taking 1 million cars off the road. As you can see, peatland restoration and avoiding impacting peatlands have some of the highest potential to mitigate carbon emissions.
A warming climate is not the only concern that arises from burning peatlands. Because heavy metals tend to bioaccumulate in peatlands, when this biomass burns, these metals enter into the atmosphere, posing serious human health concerns.
The Nature Conservancy has taken some steps to prevent this crisis by partnering with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to restore 1,300 acres of degraded peatland in Picasso Lakes National Wildlife Refuge as a pilot carbon project. This restoration involved the construction of water control structures, such as berms, in order to allow water levels to stay high, and therefore reducing the carbon emissions from soil subsidence, or the sinking of peatlands due to lack of water.
The best way to preserve peatlands is to keep them wet. This restoration method is known as polluticulture. Polluticulture reduces the amount of CO2 that can transmit to the atmosphere by preventing soil subsidence and fires.
Peatland restoration would prevent the release of nearly 394 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's comparable to the emissions from 84 million passenger vehicles per year. In order to keep the global temperature under the UN's catastrophic threshold of a 2 degrees Celsius increase, the protection of peatlands is one of the most important steps we can take to preserve a global climate that is livable.
Now see here, this is the about peatland. I have played you the video, which you have seen that, and I said it's a terrestrial wetland ecosystems where you have waterlogged condition there, and it happens in cool climate. Peatland vegetation is mostly made up of sphagnum mosses, sedges, and shrubs. What you've seen in the video there, and in the warmer climate, like graminoids and woody plants are there. This is how it looks like. This is the way the peatland looks like there, right? Right, then, and you see here what is said here. Peatlands occur in every climatic zone and continents and cover 4.23 million square kilometers, and it corresponds to 2.84% of Earth's total area, terrestrial area is there. And here this actively accumulating peat is there, right, which is found there, right? And drained peatlands, this which is make up 16% of world's peatland there. Right, you'll find in many of the areas. Now see here, carbon dioxide gas and all the tropical peatland in Africa, Congo basin and all, there you find the peatland, right? Caribbean, Central America and all this, the wetland there, the bog, mires and all is called there, right? We'll see that Ramsar Convention part that we'll see in the class later on. Now what I'm doing right now here is that, let me just ask a question here. Let me see how many people can give the correct answer here. Which of following processes add carbon dioxide to atmosphere? This was asked in 2011 question there. 2011 and 2014 the question is there. And the options were given like this: photosynthesis, right? Respiration, volcanic eruption, this decomposition of organic matter. This was asked in UPSC exam. Question was asked in the UPSC exam. And fourth was here, that is a volcanic eruption there. Let's say I'm just doing the modification. I'm not writing the exact sequence there, but just a modification of them. Just a modification of that question. So what will be answer here? It's a very simple question I have given here. What will be answer here? How comes all? Ishika Singh, you are saying all. How all? Abhishek is saying all. How the all will be there? Again, many of you giving all. Read the question properly. I have said add carbon dioxide. Add. Addition of carbon dioxide. Not a removal. See here, I am asking addition of carbon dioxide. Right. Answer is B. B is the correct answer. The answer will be B will be the answer there. Right. B is the correct answer. Now see here, what is the here? That removes carbon dioxide. The removal of carbon dioxide, right? Where the 2 and 3 and 4 will add carbon dioxide. You're right, very good. Good, very good. Answer will be B as an answer, that's right. You're very correct there. Good, very good. B will be the answer. The answer will be B here, that's right. You're very true, the answer is B here. Now see here this question. Which of following is our carbon sink? Let's say if I give you this kind of question there. Number 1, grassland. Number 2, forest. Number 3, pitland. Right? So what will be answer here? What will be answer here? It's a very simple question I have given here. Now you will not make a mistake there. So what will be answer here? So here the answer will be all. Here the answer will be all of them. Right? So in this case the answer is D. The answer will be D, all of them. Right? Grassland, forest, pitland, all will be there. Good, very good. ये हुई बात ना? Right, this is what I want from your side. Good, very good. Answer will be all of this. All of this will be the answer here. All of this will be answer. Good, very good. Right? Good, really good. Answer will be all of this. Right, good. Answer will be all of this. Right? All of this will be the answer here. Good, very good. Good. So you all have become civil servant now. According to me, KBC. So all these questions which I have given there, you are able to solve that. That's really good. Very good. Keep it up. Right? Now what I'll do here, since I was keeping target to complete all the cycles there, but then time is up, so I'm not able to complete there. But not a problem there. We don't have to worry about the time part, right? Next class we'll do that. So in the next class, what we'll do, we'll go to nitrogen cycle, right? Oxygen cycle, sulfur cycle, phosphorus cycle, and then we'll start with this ecosystem services I'll discuss there. But what I'll do here, ecosystem services, and there's another topic called biodiversity values. We can combine them together, right? And we can discuss that. So we'll do one thing here. We'll, if it's okay with everyone, then we can stop the class here, so that the next class we can go for the continuation of the nutrient cycle. But are you all able to understand it? My main purpose is that whether you are able to understand or not, right? I'm taking time, I'm setting questions, and I'm discussing that, but I want your clarity of understanding. Are you all comfortable or not? That is a very important thing for me, right? Time factor is another thing which will take care of that. But I want that everybody is on the same page, right? And are you comfortable with this way? That what I'm using the whiteboard and the other part? Are you okay with that? Right? So let me see your response. Right. So if you are happy with this approach, then I'll continue in the future classes. So in the future classes again, I'll go through the basic areas, then give you all the kind of linkage with some kind of current aspect and all this one, right? And play the documentaries there and the questions, right? This way you will become very much comfortable. You will be able to add static part, the theory part with the dynamic part, the current aspect part of it, right? So you have to combine the theory, application with the facts, with the current aspect, right? So this way you will understand carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, water cycle, whatever comes there, and you will not forget it, right? So that's good there. So we will stop the class here, right? I'm very happy that I'm back to your batch after a long time, because I was very busy with the other batches. 2021 classes, I have to complete most of the batches of Vision IS. So I've been occupied with with the topics of science and technology, environment, ecology. So that's what. But in between, Vision IS management is giving me classes. So I'm coming and teaching you in your batch there, right? That's part of it. So we'll end with one assignment question. I'll give you one assignment question. The assignment question is this one. Your assignment question for this class is that let me write the assignment question here. The assignment question for your batch, for your class, and please write it down, babe. Please try to write it down. Right? So your assignment question is that discuss discuss importance of pitlands, which I've shown you the video also there. Pitlands, right? Discuss importance of pitlands in context of, I'm giving an applied question there, in context of climate change. Now this is subjective question there from my side. You have to answer in 150 to 200 words. Answer in 150 to 200 words. 10 marks question. So what you have to do? What you have to do is that you have to do Google search. Open pitland, whichever website comes to you. Read about pitlands, and then in 150 to 200 words, write about the importance of that one. Write about that part. All right. All right. Clear there? So please. No, Neeraj Rao sir is now fine. Neeraj Rao sir, history faculty, he was suffering with coronavirus, but he has recovered. Neeraj Rao sir has recovered there, and very soon your class will be there. Neeraj Rao sir will take your class also there, so don't worry about it. Yes, Neeraj Rao sir has now, see, Neeraj Rao sir got the corona. He was infected with the COVID-19, so he was undergoing treatment part of it. But now he has recovered. He has been able to fight corona and get out of it. But still he is feeling weak. You know that after illness, your body is not that much that can speak it out. And you know that coronavirus affects the lungs. The lungs get affected. So, and when you have to teach in the classroom, you have to speak out. So when you are speaking out, you require a lot of air, right? You require the lung capacity there. So that's what he is trying to recover there. Right, Harsh sir is also recovered. Harshvardhan sir has also recovered, but he is not here. He is again taking time. So Harsh sir will take time to come out of it. But again, we have to understand that both the teachers were suffering with COVID-19. Now they have come out of it, but safely, like by God's grace, their lives have been saved. Right, so they are just recovering there. All right. So I don't have any idea about Harsh sir so much. I know that he was positive and he was admitted with Max Hospital, but he is recovering from the disease there. But I don't have any idea further about that. Right. So please take care of yourself and try to write this question there. Right. Please try to write this question there. Right. This question is very, very important. Try to write there. So we'll end up the class here. Although the class I was not able to complete more topics there, right? My target was to complete the entire biogeochemical cycle. In normal classes, whenever I take the normal classes, in one class I complete entire biogeochemical cycle. But in your batch, I have only completed up to carbon cycle. Only 2 cycles we have discussed, right? So by that standard it has become slow there. All right. So anyway, don't worry about it. We will meet in the next class, whenever the class will be there. And don't worry about other teachers. They are suffering from the coronavirus, and you know that then again depends on the illness condition and how they recover from there. So I cannot say anything at this point in time, but that God's grace they are safe and they are recovering there, right? So, but again, so that's what I said. We don't know about it, right? But again, yes, my classes will be there in the future. So please read the handout which I've given the first class, and please read more about it, right? Till we meet in the next class. So thank you everyone. Be safe, right? Stay healthy and take care of yourself. And please get vaccinated. All right. So thank you everyone. Good night. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you. Thank you.